Hello, good morning, sir, and good morning, my friend. Let me introduce ourselves first. I am Kadek Wibawa, and my partner is Kadek Gunawan. Okay, in this presentation, we will discuss about irregular and irregular verb analysis article. Regular verb. Regular verb are verbs that can change according to tense and change it regularly. Regular verbs are verbs whose change comply with normal rules, that is, with the letter D or AD to the verb first form or verb one, infinitive, so that it becomes a verb form second or verb two past tense. Several things must be considered in the way of forming a regular verb by adding the letter ad suffix or d in the basic verb or verb one infinitive. Irregular verb. Irregular verbs are verbs that change according to the tense and do not comply with normal complaints. The past tense irregular verbs are not from basic verb or verb one infinitives plus letter d or ad letters to form verb two or past tense. Irregular verbs from the past tense differently, short, not always, through a vowel and consonant change. Tense. Tense is any form of the verb that might be used to show the time of the act. An event or state is expressed by the verb. There are three kinds of tense. There are past tense, the form of a verb that usually expresses an action that happened in the past. Present tense, the form of a verb that usually expresses an action that happened in the present or at this time. And future tense, the form of a verb that usually expresses an action that will happen in future. Simple past tense. Simple past tense is a tense to show action that happened in past time. That this tense show completed past action, it generally used with specific past tense used as yesterday, last night, ago, next, etc. We also can use the simple past to list a series of actions that are completed in the past. For example, I finished work all my bicycle to the shop and bought some bread. Method. First, data used in this research is the form of verb to both regular and irregular verb. Second, in collecting data in this research, the researcher used document analysis. The use of document for the study has a long tradition in qualitative research. The third, the document used in this research is taken from the result of the 14 student waiting essay. In analysis data in this research shall be an ongoing process after the collection of data. Okay. The next presentation will be read by my friend Kadek Gunawan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dwi. The next is findings and discussions. Based on the analysis of the students' English writing composition, it found that the student used both regular and irregular verbs in writing an essay of the simple past tense of recount text. The examples are as follows. The first example of students writing. The regular verbs are close, gather, started, arrived, continued, visited, and cook. Those verbs follow spelling rules of the word with the ending E as is added by D. For example, the verb 1 is close, then change the verb 2 into closed, and verb 1 is arrive, then change the verb 2 into arrived. And the second example of student writing, the regular verb are used: traveled, arrived, parked, walked, waited, and returned. Those verbs follow the spelling rules of the word with the ending E is added by D. For example, verb 1 is used, change to the verb 2 into used, and the verb 1 arrived, and then change to verb 2 into arrived. And then the third example of student writing. So the regular verbs are decided, like arrived, departed, and invited. Those verbs follow the spelling rules of the word with the ending E is added by D. For example, the verb is decide. So change to verb 2 into decided, and the verb 1 is like, then change the verb 2 into liked, and the other. And the next, the fourth example of student writing. The regular verbs are planned, stopped, decided, departed, rested, needed, reigned, arrived, continued, enjoyed, reached, rested, and cleaned. The rule of the regular verb that the verb with one syllable, a single vowel, and with ending in a single consonant. So the verb 2 must be double consonant with adding ed. For example is plain. Verb 1 is plain, and then change into plain, and verb 1 stop, and change into stopped. And then the next is the fifth example of student writing. The regular verbs are stopped, forced, and arrived. The essays show that the student used a regular and irregular verb in his or her writing. The rule of the regular verb that the verb with one syllable, a single vowel, and with ending in a single consonant, so the verb 2 must be double consonant with adding ed. For example is verb 1 is stop and change into verb 2, we adding ed in the end, and stopped, and then force verb 1 and change into verb 2 forced, and then verb 1 arrive, change into verb 2 into arrived. And then the sixth example of students writing. The regular verbs are decided, used, arrived, continued, wanted, boarded, presented, waited, headed, and stayed. Those verbs follow the spelling rules of the word with the ending E is added by D. For example is the verb is decide, changing into verb 2 into decided, and the verb 1 is used, then changing to verb to into used. And then the next is the seventh is example of students writing. So the regular verbs are stopped, decided, combined, continued, arrived, looked for, looked, enjoyed, failed, showed, turned, turned out, discovered. The essay showed that the student used regular and irregular verb in his or her writing. The rule of regular verb that the verb with one syllable, a single vowel, and with ending in a single consonant. So the verb to must be double consonant with adding ed. And for example, is verb one is plan. Verb one is stop, changing into stopped. Verb two and verb one decide, change into verb two decided, and verb one combine, change into verb two combined, and next is the conclusion. So the conclusion related to the using of the regular and irregular verb in 15 students writing an essay. It showed that the student used both the regular and irregular verb in their student writing an essay. So in the regular verb, there are 142 data, and in the irregular verb, there are 170 data. It showed that the most dominant verb past written by the student in their students writing essay is an irregular verb. Okay, so that's all about our presentations, and I hope you are understand about my presentation. And I'm so sorry if there is a mistake during our presentations, and thank you very much.